Hello and welcome to the Learning Love Podcast. I'm Dr. Mark A. Hicks, author of the book Learning Love. It is possible to build the healthy, happy, thriving relationships you have always wanted. So let's spend some time learning love. Love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. And today's question is, what do we do about a lackluster relationship? This is not abuse. This is not toxic, not even dysfunctional. It's just not quite right. Things are kind of languishing a bit. And that happens. If you've been married for a long time or in families, you get into routines, or you've been in a friendship for a long time, things can kind of get routine. They kind of get lackluster. And you look one day and you think, I'm not really sure this is the relationship we want. I'm not sure we're really thriving in this the way we want to. And so what do we do when we come to that place? Now, if we take a wrong turn here, it can come to some bad places. This is where sometimes people get discontent. They get frustrated. Things aren't going as easy as they once did in the relationship. They wonder, maybe things have gone awry, or maybe we're not really suited for each other anymore, or we start saying things in a marriage like, you're not the person I married, even though we've been married 20 years, and people do change over the years. And if we're not careful, we can take this moment where we realize things have kind of gone to a lackluster sort of place and start to really get overly concerned about that, to start blaming maybe our partner, or looking at our family and thinking, what's wrong with you people? Or maybe blaming ourselves and thinking that we're not good enough in this relationship, or whatever it might be. If we're pointing fingers of blame, if we're starting to get frustrated, if we're starting to look at our partner and think, why aren't you the person I married 20 years ago? There's a better way to handle it than that. Relationships are going to go through phases. People do change over the years. We're not going to be the same person we were 20 years ago. And relationships sometimes do need to sort of be analyzed and evaluated, and need a sort of a course correction. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Things do get lackluster sometimes in all relationships, and we just need to take a look at it and see, how can we go about bringing some spark, bringing some life, some thriving element back to this relationship. I can make the same case about jobs. Sometimes we love what we do, and yet it can get sort of dull at times. If you've done it for a long time, you're really good at your job, you know what you're doing every day, you knock it out, you go home. That can be really good for a while, and then you think, is this it? Is this all I'm doing? Sometimes we need to just take a look. We don't need to necessarily change jobs. We don't necessarily need to find a new career, and we don't need to start blaming our coworkers and saying, what's wrong with you? It's just a matter of take a look. If you have a lackluster relationship at work, at home, families, in your marriage or partnership, take a look at that and think, how can we make this better? And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to give you a couple of ideas on how you can focus a little bit in some important areas and just make life better, healthier, happier, a more thriving life, when we sort of change our mindset of wondering what's wrong and begin to start making things right. I found this quote from the famous physicist, scientist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I thought, he's not talking about relationships here, but this quote can be modified a bit to really apply well to relationships. So let me read what he said. He said, for me, I'm driven by two main philosophies: know more today about the world than I knew yesterday, and lessen the suffering of others. You'd be surprised how far that gets you. And I want to argue that it would get you far in relationships as well. He's talking about a life philosophy. He's talking about a worldview, and that certainly has a lot of merit to it. But I think we can apply this to relationships. What if we dedicated ourselves every day to knowing more about our partner, about our spouse, about our kids, about our coworkers than we knew the day before? What if we really paid attention to where they are in life? As I said, sometimes we get into a place of saying, well, you're not the person I married 20 years ago. Well, yeah, people change. And sometimes we forget to notice. We forget to know more about our partner every day. Really figure out what they're doing. What are they going through? What are they saying to us? What are they feeling? Pay attention to what people are doing and know more about the people you care about every day. Now, people don't radically change overnight, so those are going to be little nuances, just little things. You're going to notice what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what their attitudes are if you pay attention every day. If your goal every day is to say, I want to know more about my spouse than I knew the day before. It can be just something small, but I want to know where they are in life, where their ambitions are lying, how are they feeling about life, what's happening, just to know those little things. Not much has changed since yesterday. That's okay. If any small thing has changed, I want to know what that is. Pay attention to that. It's not going to be drastic, but it just keeps you engaged in knowing your partner, knowing your family, knowing your friends, knowing who they are, where they are in life, and what's going on with them. Sometimes you will pick up on something big. Maybe you'll see something that they don't even see about their life at any particular time, because sometimes we have blind spots in our own life. And since you care about them, you might be the one to say, hey, I've noticed you've kind of been feeling this way lately, or I've noticed you've been going through this, or it kind of sounds like you're developing some new ambition in your life, that you might want to head a little different direction in your job or in something you're doing in life. Maybe we'll see that before they do. And we can sort of facilitate that conversation. We can have that conversation with them and show them that we really are paying attention. If we took it as a goal to know more today than we knew yesterday about the people we care about, we know more about how they feel and what they are going through and just what they're saying to us. We pay attention to that. That will take you really far. People just want to be seen. We all want to know somebody cares. And sometimes that's hard to find even in our own families. Sometimes everybody gets so busy, they're scattered out everywhere, everybody's involved in everything, and everybody's self-absorbed. We all do that. We all get absorbed in what we're doing, what's happening with us and our jobs and what's happening in the things of life that we're involved in. And sometimes we forget to even notice what's happening in the lives of people we care about most. If we show them that we do care, because we're paying attention, we know what's happening with them. We know more today than we knew yesterday. And that shows after a while. It shows that we've been paying attention. That carries a lot of weight. That shows caring. That shows love. It's not just words at that point. We are actually engaged in that other person's life, caring about where they are every step along the way. Now, this is not obsession. This is not overly involving ourselves or micromanaging their life. Don't misinterpret that. We're not going to be overly involved and analyze every single element of their life, but we just care about what's happening. We want to know every day, is there something new going on? Is there something happening that wasn't going on yesterday? Every time there's a new turn in life, I want to know what it is. I want to be there to support that. If it's a good thing or a bad thing, if it's a great day, a bad day, whatever, we want to be there to support the people that we love. And so, if you know more today than you knew yesterday, that's a great ambition. That's a great mindset to go into in your relationships, and make sure you are paying attention in the lives of people you care about. Now, the second thing he says is his goal every day is to reduce the suffering of someone. Well, that's a worthy goal as well within our relationships, because life's hard. Maybe suffering's too strong a word sometimes. Maybe it's just a tough day. Maybe it is just a difficult issue of some kind. Maybe it's just a bad day at work, and tomorrow will be better. It's not the end of the world, but it was just a bad day. If we're paying attention, we may have the opportunity to lessen that a little bit. We may be able to be encouraging. We can maybe help along the way. If we care about the suffering of the people in our lives, and that means even on the small scale, when it's not even suffering, it's just inconvenience, it's just frustration, whatever words we might want to use there. But especially if it is suffering, if it is some great hardship, we absolutely need to do what we can to lessen that. Now, again, this is not micromanaging. We can't take burdens off of people. Sometimes people have to walk their own road, but we can always be there with them. We can always be there to encourage. We can always be there to help along the way where that is possible, and to let them know that we're just there. If we know more than we knew yesterday, we're paying attention to what's happening in the lives of people we care about, then we're going to know when they're struggling, when they're having hardship, when they're frustrated, when they're angry, when they're suffering in some way. And it's always our goal to lessen that to the extent we can. We can't solve every problem, but we can go through that problem together. And that doesn't solve problems, but it sure does make life better. It makes life better when you know you have your people around you, when you have your spouse by your side when times are hard, when you have your family rallied around you, when your friends have your back, when your coworkers are there with you. When we are that kind of spouse, family member, coworker, and friend, when we pay attention to what's going on every step along the way, we pay attention to know what's happening today, even more than yesterday. We know more today than we knew yesterday. Then we'll know when things are going wrong. We'll know when times are hard, and we can be there. One of the great struggles that we have sometimes is if we are suffering and people around us don't even know. And sometimes it's hard for us to say. Now, some people wear their feelings on their sleeve and everybody knows what they're thinking and what they're feeling. But other people are more reserved. And some people are carrying some pretty heavy burdens that they don't really share. If we're in a relationship with that person, we need to pay attention. They don't have to tell us everything they're feeling. That's okay. Some people can be reserved, but we need to know enough about them to know when they're struggling and just come along beside them, to walk with them, to encourage them. These are things that make relationships thrive. We're not going to have an easy life all the time, but we can have a great relationship all the time when we are there for each other in the hard times. And the more we practice this, the more we show that we care about the people around us, the more we are there for them in the times of suffering or hardship or inconvenience or whatever it might be at that particular point, people are going to notice that. And it increases the odds that they're going to do that for us as well. It shows that we care, and very many times people are going to care the same way. They're going to want to be there for us. They're going to want to know what's going on in our life. They're going to care for us in the way we're showing them. And they're going to be there for us when times are hard. And we all need that. Don't fool yourself thinking that you can do everything alone, that you can pick yourself up by your bootstraps and grit your teeth and lean into the storm. Sometimes we like to have that image of ourselves. It doesn't really work. We all need each other. And so the more we are there for other people, the more they are going to be there for us in general. Some people are selfish. They're never going to learn. They're never going to care about what's going on with you. That is a personality trait of some people, but not everyone. There are going to be people that notice how much you care, and they're going to want to reciprocate that. They're going to want to take care of you. They're going to want to be there for you during your tough times. That becomes a great family. That becomes a great marriage, a great friendship, a great office or workspace. It becomes a great community when we can be there for each other in that way. And so set that as a goal for your relationships. Make sure that you make the effort to know more today than you knew yesterday about what's happening in the life of the people you care about. Pay attention to what's happening. You don't have to grill them. You don't have to question them. This is not putting them under interrogation. It's just paying attention. It's just being aware of what's happening. And when you do that, do it with a mindset of lessening the suffering anytime you can, because life is hard. Make life easier for the people around you and allow them to do that for you as well. If we're doing that, if we're paying attention to what's happening, and we're allowing other people that care about us to know what's happening in our life, and we're all there for each other, we take care of each other, we lessen the suffering as much as we can, knowing this is a hard life, that things are going to be tough sometimes, and we celebrate together in the good times because we know there's great moments in life as well. When we have that kind of relationship, that kind of mindset going into our relationship, we can build those good relationships over time. And so if your relationship has become lackluster, it's still good. It's not toxic. It's not abusive, but it's just sort of lackluster. It's just not really what you want it to be. Put your mindset on these two things. Make sure you know more about your partner, your family, or your friends, whoever it is. Make sure you know more today than you did yesterday about what's going on. Just pay attention every day. And when you have opportunity to lessen the suffering, to make life a little easier, to encourage them, to support them, take that opportunity. Because you've paid attention, you'll know when that's happening. So take the opportunity to help and let them do the same for you. It's not a one-way street. Let them know what's going on in your life when they care, and let them help you and encourage you in your times of difficulty. And when we have that kind of dynamic in relationships, it builds a thriving relationship. That's not lackluster. That's true caring. That's true camaraderie. That's a partnership for life. That's facing life, good and bad, together as friends, as family, as spouses, whatever your relationship might be with that person you care about. Put those things into place, and you can build a thriving relationship through all the times of life. So that's my thoughts this week on how you can build the kind of relationship you want in life. As always, I hope that you will go to my website, markahicks.com, and there's an easy link there to order my book, Learning Love, Building a Life That Matters, and Healthy Relationships That Last. I want to thank my producer, Abby Graves of Abby Graves Production, and I want to thank all of you for listening today. Until next week, love well, everyone.